The wedding invite wasn't just missing my name, it used my AI to write the speech, the same AI I coded in my college dorm, the same one that made my family $200 million. And I wasn't invited, not even a seat at the back. Rewind. 6 years ago, I was the weirdo with the laptop at Thanksgiving, feeding lines of code into a clunky prototype, while my sister, Marissa, debuted her fifth startup idea, none of which ever lasted longer than her nail polish. My dad, a former hedge fund guy turned tech visionary, had always preferred flashy ambition over quiet genius, and Marissa, she was the crown jewel, I was the background noise. The last real conversation I had with my father was when I tried to show him the conversational AI model I built from scratch. He glanced at the screen, scrolled once, and said, "Cute. But who would pay for that?" 3 years later, they sold it. My code, my algorithm, my voice, even, literally. They'd kept the beta version I'd let Marissa try. She loved the tone I trained it to mimic, mine. So they cloned it, cleaned it up, and spun it into a billion-dollar AI customer support company. With my voice, my mind, my legacy. I didn't find out until the Forbes article. Front page, father-daughter duo revolutionize AI. No mention of me, not even a nod. At first I laughed, the manic kind, the sharp edges of disbelief cutting through my throat. Then I emailed, called, texted, no answer, blocked. My mother had passed years earlier. My only family was now a PR engine that pretended I didn't exist. And when I heard Marissa was getting married, an event hosted at a villa in Napa, open bar, live string quartet, press invited, influencers flown in, I assumed there'd be some kind of olive branch, a peace offering, something. Instead, I got an email. No greeting, just a forwarded PDF. Per legal counsel, all code assets referenced in NDA number 8819 are the exclusive property of Via AI Holdings, Inc. They stole my voice, then they told me to shut up. But what they didn't know is, I'd already planned my comeback. You don't grow up invisible without learning how to watch, listen, record. I'd kept everything. The voice logs, the training data, the time-stamped Git commits. Even the late-night text from Marissa. This bug is killing me. Can you fix it real quick? You're a wizard." She sent that 2 weeks before Via AI's beta launch. She used my patch. It fixed the core feedback loop error, the one that made the whole product scalable. I was the wizard. And wizards don't forget betrayal. They laughed at me behind closed doors. I knew it. Marissa once, accidentally, sent a group chat screenshot where she called me the basement gremlin. Another time, they posted family vacation photos where I was literally cropped out. It wasn't just business. It was personal. But I stayed silent, patient. I knew something they didn't. The wedding was just weeks away. The venue, a sleek, vineyard-laced estate called Maison Éclat. Exclusive, invitation only. It was famous for its privacy. No press leaks, no paparazzi. That was why Marissa chose it. She wanted her moment. Except, Maison Éclat had recently gone into quiet foreclosure, buried in fine print, unlisted but still in debt. And I'd just sold a new AI prototype, one built entirely on my own framework, to a firm in Berlin. Quietly, no headlines, $48 million. Clean, undisputed, mine. So I made a call. Escrow closed 21 days before the wedding. I owned the venue, and I let them plan every detail. The florals, the vendors, the full guest list, all under their original contract, grandfathered in. Because you see, there's a clause most people skip. A little detail tucked in all Maison Éclat wedding agreements. Final venue used subject to executive discretion in the event of ownership transfer. Translation: the new owner calls the shots. Me. I waited through the fittings, the tastings, the dress unveilings, through the press drops and the influencer teaser posts. And then, the day before the wedding, I made one change. Just one. I emailed Marissa directly. Subject: see you tomorrow. Body: I didn't just build the AI, I built the venue. No signature, no explanation. I knew she'd spiral. But this isn't a story about pettiness. It's about precision. Because while they erased me from the wedding, I rewrote the script. Literally. And I wasn't just showing up. I was showing them who I'd become without them. I still remember the day I realized my family had stolen my AI. It wasn't some dramatic confrontation. It was a group photo. My sister posted it, her, Dad, and two of his corporate friends, standing under a glowing sign at CE's. Via AI, human voice, synthetic brilliance. They were smiling like it was Christmas, wearing badges, giving interviews, my sister in a crisp white blazer, claiming to be the lead architect. And there it was, on the screen behind them. A UI I had designed, a signature I recognized, my work. But my name? Nowhere. I stared at the post until my vision blurred. Then I DM'd her. "This is your startup," she replied in 2 words. "Family project." That night, I couldn't breathe. I walked through my apartment like I'd been robbed. Because I had built that voice engine from scratch, trained it on my own speech patterns, spent weekends debugging audio corruption, fed it 8,000 hours of natural speech to develop emotional intonation. The first working prototype, I showed it to Marissa on our parents' patio while Dad grilled steaks. She clapped like she cared. Then changed the subject. 6 months later, she was giving TED-style keynotes on the feminine voice of AI, with my voice under the hood. And still, I tried to stay composed, professional. I emailed Dad directly. "Did you authorize the use of my engine?" No response. I called. Straight to voicemail. Then the final slap. An email blast from Marissa's assistant, inviting me to a celebratory pitch dinner. As a +1. They didn't even list me as a co-founder. I should have confronted them publicly. Gone nuclear. But I froze. Because for years, I had been conditioned to believe my skills were supporting, not leading. I was the helper, the coder in the shadows. Marissa, she was the vision, the brand, the one who could smile for cameras and smooth out investor egos. Me, I was the weird one, the one who built things no one saw. But then came the wedding, the final gut punch. The invite list was leaked online because, of course, it was a branded event. Influencers, founders, VCs, even one of the Shark Tank guys. And buried on page 8 of the PDF, under immediate family, my name wasn't there. I called my father. He picked up that time. "Hey, Pumpkin," he said, like nothing was wrong. "Why am I not on the guest list?" Silence. Then, "Well, the wedding's more of a business-forward event. We're trying to keep the optics tight." "Optics? You've said some pretty intense stuff about the company lately, and look, it's Marissa's big day. We just don't want drama." I stared at the wall. A crack I hadn't noticed before snaked across the plaster like a scar. "I'm not drama," I said. "I'm the reason that company exists." He sighed. "Sweetie, you're very smart, but sometimes you take things too personally." And that was it. The call ended, and I ended something in myself. For 3 days, I didn't eat. I laid on my couch with the curtains drawn, phone off, hands shaking. They hadn't just stolen my work. They had rewritten the story. In their version, I never existed. Just some sad, bitter little sister typing in the dark. I almost gave up. Almost, until I opened the glove box. See, months earlier, when I was still trying to stay close, I gave Marissa a custom flash drive. An anniversary gift of sorts. It contained the first full library of my AI's emotional speech patterns, something no other model had replicated. I had meant it as a bridge, a gesture of trust. She never mentioned it again. But the backup drive, my drive? I found it tucked inside the glove box of my old car. The one Dad gave me after he upgraded Marissa to a Tesla. He forgot to clean it out, and that's when it hit me. She hadn't just used my AI, she had embedded it everywhere. Product demos, keynote speeches, investor reels, even the voice for their new dating app prototype, all powered by me, and I had the logs to prove it. Every timestamp, every cross-reference, all tied to my vocal imprint and system ID. I wasn't just part of the process. I was the foundation, the blueprint, the bones. They didn't just exclude me, they erased me. On purpose. That's when the grief hardened into something sharper. Not vengeance, clarity. I didn't want to ruin them. I wanted to replace them. Not scream, surpass. And so I started planning. Not a tantrum, a takeover. Because if they were going to treat my silence as consent, then it was time they learned what it sounds like when the quiet one takes back the mic. The morning of the wedding, the skies over Napa were clear, picture perfect. The kind of day Marissa would have claimed was manifested. Guests in custom linen suits and pastel gowns arrived by shuttle, welcomed with mimosas and personalized silk fans. The string quartet rehearsed under a white pergola wrapped in blush peonies. No one suspected a thing. I sat behind a tinted window in the estate's west wing, watching it all unfold. Calm, calculated. A sleeveless black pantsuit, simple gold cufflinks, and a lanyard. Maison Éclat, owner. They still didn't know. At 1:45 p.m., I got the message I'd been waiting for. From the event coordinator, bride on site. Dress reveal begins in 30 seconds perfect. I walked the halls slowly, my heels echoing on imported marble. Outside the bridal suite, I paused, listened, giggling. Champagne pops, the rustle of satin. Marissa was holding court, her voice sharp, loud, like always. She said she was the genius, she laughed, but genius doesn't get blocked from her own family's wedding. Laughter. That girl lives in Fantasyland. Basement code monkey turned Bond villain. What a plot twist. I knocked. Once. Silence. The door opened half an inch. A bridesmaid peeked out, instantly confused. I held up my lanyard. Owner, I said, I need a moment with the bride. When Marissa saw me, her jaw didn't drop. It locked, like a machine jamming mid-spin. The veil slipped from her fingers. What the hell are you doing here? She hissed. I own the venue, I said simply. Did you not read the new contract, Ryder? She blinked. What rider? I smiled. The one that says all speech content using AI assistance must credit the model's original architect, or the wedding gets pulled. The room stilled. I saw the speech, I added. Cute stuff, full of lines my AI was trained to generate. I stepped forward. Trained. On me. You can't be serious. Deadly. I handed her a folder. Inside, a certified copy of the original AI training logs. My voice print authorization on file from the beta. Her emails begging for bug fixes. And the contract clause. Highlighted. You have an hour to revise the speech, or... I shrugged. No ceremony. She tried to laugh it off, tried to call my bluff. Until the coordinator walked in and said the media shuttle was 10 minutes out, and they'd received the rider. Panic. Real panic. For a moment, I felt pity. But then I remembered the group chat where she renamed me Error 404. I walked out, let her sweat. But that wasn't the climax. Not yet, because just before the ceremony, I walked to the groom's suite. Knocked once. He answered, confused. Hi, I said. You don't know me, but you should know what you're marrying into. I handed him a flash drive. On it, a folder labeled Truth. Inside, every instance of Marissa using my AI to ghostwrite her LinkedIn thought pieces. Every forged document tying the IP to family contributions. Her voice on a call, laughing. Honestly, we're lucky she's too emotionally damaged to fight back. He stared at it, blinking. Why now? He asked. I smiled. Because this is your one window of consent. He didn't say anything. Didn't have to. I saw the way his hand trembled. Still, the ceremony began. Guests took their seats. The music swelled. Marissa emerged, radiant, glowing, pretending. But as she reached the altar, I stepped out, not as a guest, not as a sister, as the owner. I tapped the mic. "Sorry for the interruption," I said. "We've had a change of plans." The officiant froze. Marissa turned, furious. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "I'm protecting my IP," I said calmly. Then the screen behind the altar flickered. Everyone turned. I had synced the projector to my laptop. On screen, a timeline, a documentary-style walkthrough of how the AI was built by me. Side-by-side clips, my early prototypes, Marissa's later demos. My voice, her theft, every lie, layered in high-definition clarity. The guests gasped. The groom, he stepped back. "I'm sorry," he said aloud. "I can't do this." And he walked, in front of 300 people. Marissa screamed. The mic screeched. The violinist dropped his bow. And I stood there, silent, watching everything they built on my back unravel. But I wasn't done. Because the real twist wasn't the video. It was the paperwork. I pulled a second folder from my bag. Inside, cease and desist letters to Via AI's top clients. A new patent filing. Approved. Ownership transfer. My new company. Filed weeks ago. Because what they didn't know is I'd been buying up their shell vendors, quietly, one by one, and Via AI. Couldn't function without them. I didn't just crash the wedding. I crashed their empire. And as the guests scattered, as Marissa screamed, as my father stood frozen like a statue, I walked out, calm, whole, unbothered. Because revenge isn't loud. It's precise. I didn't look back as I walked through the vineyard. Behind me, chaos. Guests calling Ubers, camera crews packing up, the sound of heels stomping across gravel. The dream wedding. Vaporized. I reached my car, sleek, black, unbranded. No chauffeur, just me. I slid into the driver's seat, shut the door, and sat there for a moment. Let it land. Not the revenge, not the spectacle, the silence. For the first time in years, no noise in my head, no hunger for approval, no ache for something they were never going to give me. Love without leverage, respect without erasure. That's all I ever wanted. Instead, they took my work, my name, my voice, and carved me out of my own legacy. But I didn't burn the house down. I bought the land it was built on, and I rewrote the deed. 3 days later, Via AI's stock crashed. A quiet SEC filing confirmed the IP ownership shift. Analysts scrambled, clients pulled out. My father went silent on social media. Marissa deleted everything. But I didn't need them to admit it. I had the receipts, I had the power, and more than anything, I had peace. Not the fake kind they peddle in inspirational posts. The real kind. The kind that comes when you stop bleeding for people who treat your heartbeat like background noise. A month later, I launched my own company, Echo Core. Built from scratch. Ethically clean. A platform to help underrepresented coders protect and license their own AI creations. My first move? Offering grants to young women from non-traditional tech backgrounds. No gatekeeping, no old guard favoritism, just opportunity. And here's the kicker. The first app built on Echo Core's framework, a tool that detects AI voice print theft in legal documentation. Guess who its first flagged user was? Yeah. Marissa. I didn't press charges. Didn't need to. I'd already dismantled everything she built on stolen bones. But I did send her a package. No note. Just a single item inside. A USB drive in the shape of a microphone. Engraved on the back. I speak for myself now. Weeks passed. The world moved on. But the ripple didn't stop. Young engineers reached out. Investors who once ghosted me sent apology emails. A university I dropped out of offered me an honorary degree. I declined. Respect that only comes after success isn't respect. It's bandwagon worship. One morning, I sat on my apartment balcony, cheap coffee, laptop open, reading DMs from strangers who said my story made them quit toxic jobs or leave families who never saw their worth. That hit harder than the $200 million. Because revenge fades, but the echo of truth, it doesn't die. And if you're wondering what became of my family, well, my father's last public statement was a classic deflection. We wish her the best in her endeavors. Translation: we lost, but we'll pretend we didn't bleed. Marissa? She pivoted, of course. New hair, new city, new startup, this time in AI-based relationship coaching. I know, ironic, but she's no longer the face of anything. Not after that video, not after the wedding that never was. She'll build something again, but not on me. Not ever again. Because I didn't just win, I made them irrelevant. I replaced every lie they told with one undeniable truth. I never needed them to succeed. They needed me, and they knew it. That's why they erased me. And I let them. For years, I let them laugh, dismiss, demean. But here's what they forgot. The quiet one, the invisible one. She's always watching, always building. And when she strikes, she doesn't scream. She signs the deed. Because I didn't just show up. I bought the venue. I owned the story. And I buried the lie in front of everyone who believed it. Ever had your own family write you off? Share it in the comments. Like and subscribe if you believe rising above is the real revenge. Send this to someone who needs to hear. You don't need their approval. Final word. They gave her luxury. They gave me rust. I gave them silence. But when I finally spoke, the world listened. Let me know if you want a thumbnail concept, title variants, or voiceover guidance.